Hello, everyone. My name is Morgan Massie, and I'm super excited to talk with you about our upcoming retreat, the Ageless Code. And what you're about to hear is going to change the way you think about your health, your energy, your age, and what is actually possible for you. And joining me today are Angelina Kardash, a wellness strategist, functional longevity coach, former Silicon Valley executive, and creator of the Ageless Code. Along with Angelina, we have François Aubertin, wellness mentor, international speaker, health entrepreneur, osteopathic doctor with 35 years of clinical experience, and Nyla Allen, skin and beauty longevity expert, founder of Dolce Vita Wellness and Medical Spa. So let's just dive right in and start this conversation around our upcoming Ageless Code retreat. So, Angelina, I want to point it right over to you first. And you created the Ageless Code system. So, can you tell us a little bit about what it is and why does the world need it right now?
Absolutely. Yes, I created the Ageless Code because I just needed it myself. Years ago, I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, with autoimmune disease, and that time I was so exhausted. I was in pain. I was doing everything right, and nothing was working for me. And the doctors told me this is your new normal. And I just refused to accept that. So I went deep into the cellular biology, into functional genomics, into the biohacking, the nervous system regulations, and I just became obsessed. I needed to understand what was actually happening inside of my body, not the symptoms, but actually what are the root cause. And this is when I started to address that at this level. Like everything changed in my health, in my life. So the fibromyalgia completely gone within several months. The autoimmune disease, I just learned how to work with my biology instead of against it. And I learned how to keep the inflammation down. I learned how to support my immune system at the cellular level. And today I just don't feel it. And it doesn't ruin my life. It doesn't limit what can I do. And I'm not on any medications and I'm in my 50s. So that's what addressing the root cause does. And when I think about the human body, it's so miraculous. And when you give it the right inputs, right? So everything recalibrates, everything changes, and the body heals itself. And that journey, that became the ageless code system. So, because this is what I see every single day. Like people in their 40s, people in their 50s, people who work so hard to build their life, their businesses, their family, their success, and right at the moment where they should be enjoying it, their body just stops working for them, right? So their energy drops and it just doesn't come back. And maybe it's a weight that just doesn't move and the brain fog, right? So how many of you guys forget where you put your keys or, like you forget your phone? And for someone who leads, right? So who makes decision for a living? This is so, so terrifying. And because you know that you used to be sharp, right? You used to be so fast. Like, your life was different, and now you're second guessing everything.
Mm.
And basically, what you think is just aging. So, and maybe your joints hurt, right? So your sleep stop working and you wake up more tired, even if you basically went through the 8 hours of sleep and you get through the day because you have your morning coffee. And then you collapse at night and you cannot sleep again. And that cycle just repeats again and again and again. So, and without realizing it, right? So it's just start shrinking your life. You cancel your plans. You may say no to things that you used to love, and you tell yourself, I'll do, when, I feel better. And it never happens, right? So, and things just don't slow down. So, and you don't feel better. And life that used to work for you doesn't work for you anymore. And there are so many people around that live this life. So, thinking that this is just the age, right? So, this is just the stress. This is just the how life is going to be right now, but it's not. And I absolutely know what is it to be on the other side because I lived it. And that's what Ageless Code is about. And that was this retreat is built on.
And I think as high performers or high achievers, like we've all kind of fallen into this at one point or another. We're almost going on autopilot during our day, focused on our job, our families, the community that we support. And then our health and our wellness kind of falls to the wayside. And you live this, Angelina, kind of seeing the effects that maybe a lot of us are, maybe not the same effects that you did, but to some extent, like that mental fog and fatigue and feeling like we're off balance with our labs and seeing that if that continues to go unchecked, how that dis-ease can really show up in our body in a number of different ways. I know earlier on in my career, high stakes job in a leadership position, over the talent management department of a very large organization. And I remember specifically going into a meeting and all of a sudden getting tunnel vision. My heart's beating really fast. I'm starting to have cold sweats and wondering, what is this all about? Well, long story short, went to multiple doctor's visits thinking that I was going to have a heart attack or I was like on the path to something really serious. They're like, oh no, it's just stress. It's just anxiety. You're going to be fine. And not really getting the answers that I really felt I needed to get. I was almost kind of getting the brush off. And it wasn't until I really tapped into what was going on inside me as a result of all these external stressors and factors and I really need to bring myself back into balance with my labs and with what I was doing for my mental wellness and my sleep and my dietary practices. And so, Francois, I want to turn it over to you because I think this is a perfect question and transition. You bring 35 years of clinical medicine to this retreat. So, what made a physician of your caliber want to be a part of something like this?
Thank you, Morgan. This is an honor to be with you, ladies. What I realize in all these years working in France, in UK, in Canada, and in the United States, and specializing in neurology, neuroscience, and structural osteopathic medicine, that the structure is one system. But after what happened 6 years ago, I also realized, oh, there's so much more to this amazing body. And that's when I really delve into the metabolic nutrition and how the cells and our body chemistry all connects with that structure. And I'm so happy and proud to share some concepts that really are helping people to identify key deficiencies in our body chemistry and how it's affecting from our cells to our tissues to our organs to our overall body and well-being, all those symptoms of what we hear every day that Angelina just shared, the brain fog, all that physical discomfort. There's a way out, and this is what I want to share during that retreat.
And I think a lot of us really feel like there really isn't a way out. This is my new normal. I'm aging. I'm a certain age. That's just how I'm supposed to feel. I'm supposed to wake up in the morning and have those aches and pains. I'm supposed to look at myself in the mirror and feel that dullness and see that dullness in my skin. And really, it all does come from the inside out. But how we appear on the outside has a lot to do with what's going on the inside. And so I want to turn it to Nyla. You know, Nyla, you found a Dolce Vita Medical Spa. And most people treat our skin as a cosmetic, you know, cover it up, get a little Botox, a little filler to make ourselves look better in the moment, which is wonderful that we have the ability to go off and do that. Wonderful, wonderful. And you treat it differently, though. So, what's your approach?
Thanks, Morgan. What I see at Dolce Vita is most of what people are told about their skin stops right here, right at the surface. We're told use this product or do this treatment or here's what works for your skin type. And people spend years and a ton of money doing exactly that, just wondering why these results never really stick. And what I've learned over 12 years in the spa industry is that the skin is like a messenger. It's almost like a report card. And it reflects exactly what's happening inside your body. Things like your nervous system, inflammation, your detox pathways, and your hormones. It all ends up here as a messenger. And when we stop trying to fix that outside layer and start asking what it actually means at the root, everything changes. And most people just haven't been given the tools to understand what their skin is trying to tell them. So this is what I do at the retreat. Not skincare, skin intelligence. We look at your genetics first. We understand how your body is actually wired to age, and then we build a protocol from there. And this is a different approach because results are rooted in your own biology, not just trends.
I like that. And that makes it sustainable over time. And it's kind of curated, cultivated for you based off of your skin, your makeup, and what's going on out here externally. And when you connect that to what's going on internally, so foggy, exhausted, frustrated, feeling like nothing's working anymore, that really creates this comprehensive plan of, okay, I am getting the tools and the education that I need to carry forward into what I want to be my absolutely wonderful new normal going forward. And it is possible. And we're here to tell you that it is possible. And I want to dive a little bit deeper. So that's our expert team. And I'm going to turn it back over to Francois to kind of go a little bit deeper here about what's actually happening in the body. So, when a high performing entrepreneur walks into your world with all those symptoms we've been talking about, the exhaustion, the fogginess, the frustration, nothing's working anymore, what are you seeing at the cellular level?
Well, yes, it is very important to understand that to really read someone, we need to test. And there are some extremely important tests. And one of them I've been using in the last 6 years. 97% of the world population actually fails it. And we're looking at chronic inflammation and different biomarkers that are helping us to identify what's really going on at the immune system, cardiovascular system, the mental, nervous system, and how our cells are actually functioning. That cell membrane is really the key. It's what decides what goes in and what gets out. So in terms of skin, longevity, energy, mental clarity, everything starts at the foundation of what our bodies are made of. 37 trillion cells. Let's start focusing on that, and we will see the ripple effects on all the benefits we can bring by optimizing how that cell membrane and how our cells are functioning.
Wow. Wow. There's so much possibility when we think about at the cellular level, no matter what your education is, like what is possible when we address ourselves from the inside out. But from a layman's terms, I don't come from a medical health wellness background, executive coach and leadership strategist by trade, but have been feeling these symptoms and had to find my own way and educate myself. And so, Angelina, I'm going to turn it over to you because I know you're going to have a great answer for us here. So when someone fully commits to this system, what really, in layman's terms, becomes possible for them? What does life actually look like on the other side?
Great question, Morgan. Yeah, so what is becoming possible for that someone is that you just stop surviving and you start living your life to the fullest, because that's what becomes, like a possible. And how many out there are accepted this version of themselves without even realizing that's just, running maybe at 50 or, 60% of what's possible. So, and, you know, you don't even question it anymore because this is your new normal. As we said, that brain fog is normal, waking up exhausted is normal. And you just adjust it and you just, tell yourself this is where you are right now. And I was there myself too. But what if you just, woke up and your body felt amazing, right? With real energy, before even your morning coffee, you woke up in the room and all heads turned to you, not because what you wear, but because you look vibrant, you look alive, you are 10 years younger. This is how you feel inside of your body. And even if you want to climb maybe the Mountain Everest, right? So you can do it. Maybe you want to ski on a ski slopes. Maybe you want to race. Maybe you want to take a triathlon. This is what becomes possible, right? But what if none of that? like was on the table for you? What if you look in a mirror, not because you kind of see the old version of yourself, but you see the younger version of yourself and you smile into yourself and you look so happy. And this is what's possible because once you change your cellular biology, right? So this is how you're going to look on the outside and that's how you're going to feel inside. So, and I've seen it happen. I mean, it happened to me and it happened to the people that I work with, that Francois work with, people who came to us and were convinced that what was they're experiencing, it's just their aging, right? But it's, it's not. It's when you give the body the right thing, so the body will rejuvenate itself. And like weeks after the people start the Ageless Code roadmap, they tell me that, they basically forget how it feels the way that they felt before, right? So like things change very rapidly, very quickly in their biology when you give your body the right inputs. So that's what's possible. This is what's waiting on the outside of the ageless god. Not the younger you, not the perfect you, but the most vibrant, the most alive, the most youthful version of yourself.
I think so many of us fall into the habit of just being complacent. This is the way it's always going to be. And, they might hear all of us talking about there is a possibility. You have always wanted to race, you've never been able to race, and you don't feel like your body is young enough and your knees aren't strong enough. There is a normal for you where you are your cardiovascular system can optimize itself to be able to put yourself on a running routine so you can feel healthy again and get back to where you were before when you were younger, or maybe even try out things that you haven't tried out before. I know that since focusing in on my own health and wellness, I've definitely felt that rejuvenation of energy, the lift from the mind fog, and really feeling like I've been able to perform, and kind of tying it back to our high performers, perform at optimal levels and be able to sustain that, whatever that means for you, whether it's athleticism or whether it's performance in your job, your role. Maybe you're an entrepreneur running a business and not feeling that 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock slump every day and feeling dull from the inside out. And Angelina, you mentioned something that I picked up on around aging. Aging is natural. We all age. It's how are we aging? What is the quality of our aging? And so, Nyla, I'm going to toss the baton over to you as we talk about aging and aging skin. So, when we think about it, what does aging skin actually tell us about what's happening inside our bodies?
Yeah, great question. And I want to kind of go back to the possibilities again with the last question. A lot of people don't think about the possibilities of just living longer, living better. A lot of us have children. Like, I want to be around not just longer years, I want to have more years to be able to play and see my children grow and have better lives. And I want to be able to teach them and give them that kind of healthy life too. That's what I see as possible as well. So I just wanted to add that. And when it comes to what our skin tells us about what's going on inside, if you think about it, aging skin is one of the most honest things about us, and it doesn't lie, right? So when I see chronic dullness on the skin, for example, I think about detox pathways and whether the liver is keeping up. And inflammation, when I see inflammation and reactivity in the skin, I talk about the gut. What's going on in your gut system? And accelerated collagen. We all talk about collagen, but when you have that loss with age, I want to know about your cortisol and sleep. That stress really, really affects things. And then pigmentation. A lot of people talk about pigmentation. When you see that shifting in ways that just don't make sense, I look at oxidative stress and basically at the cellular level. That's what's going on inside that just comes out on the outside. And none of that is visible in a standard skin consultation. That's how this is different. But when we have someone's genetic data right alongside a skin imaging, we can see the full picture and actually make change. Like we can see what their body is predisposed for, where it's struggling right now, and exactly what it means to restore itself. And what I found is skin is not actually the problem, it's just the signal.
Mhm.
And once you learn to read it that way, you really can't unsee it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think of all my friends that, like you said, they have the hyperpigmentation or they have the eczema that flares up for some seemingly random reason that might be connected to their diet or connected to something else that's going on in their body. But, they're just taking it as, well, that's just the way it's always been. I'm always going to have eczema. I'm always going to have these little spots on my skin. There are things that you can do, but we have to address and take a look at that root issue there. And I mean, we are a full system. We are a system. Everything is connected. But let's kind of pressure test this a little bit. So, Francois, from a clinical standpoint, so based off what Nyla said, can you confirm that what we see on the outside of our skin is actually a direct reflection of what's happening, maybe at the cellular level inside of our bodies?
200%. It starts with the signals we're giving our bodies, the
Mhm.
food. You would never put diesel in a Ferrari. So why are we putting some non-essential and additives that are mixed in the foods today? So this is the first big target in my understanding of how the body works, so that we can really amplify the good functioning of our gut. The gut is definitely how toxins are going to be expelled through the skin, and all the diseases that we have not mentioned on the skin, psoriasis, eczema, and everything that can be linked back to the signal of what we're feeding ourselves and how the transformation is happening in our bodies. So definitely there's a full correlation of what we are eating, the gut, the transformation, and how the skin looks like.
Wow. Yeah, for sure. It's just starting to open our eyes to all the possibilities starting from the inside out. So, Angelina, we've talked about what's possible and those connections between skin, health, wellness at the cellular level, and what's possible once we open our eyes and ears and bodies up to what we can do differently from this point forward once we're educated more on ourselves and what's going on. So, since we've talked about what's possible, from your perspective, what actually gets in the way of people sustaining this once they leave the Ageless Code retreat?
Yeah, great question. The biggest thing that I see is the environment because when you come to the retreat, you feel supported, right? So you're surrounded by the community of people who are on the same journey with you. You're surrounded by your expert team. So you just feel completely shifted and it's real and supported. And then you go back home to the same schedule, to the same pressure, right, of your normal life, the same patterns that created the problem in the first place.
Mhm.
And it's not the lack of structure. Okay. So the inside doesn't need more work. What needs is really integration. So you need a system that holds that shift in place. So when you go back to your normal environment, so you're going to continue what you started. And that's exactly why I brought you, Morgan, right? Because sustaining this kind of change requires a very specific kind of support. So now back to you, Morgan. Tell us what you've built for that.
I get to be a part of the interview too. I love it. I love it. So, in my work as leadership strategist and executive coach and coaching leaders and entrepreneurs over the years, this is what I see. We are creatures of habit. And we tend to fall back on what's easy and those patterns that we've established over long periods of time. And so, we think about if we want actual behavior change, we do need support. Humans are wired for connection. And so we need to have that tribe and that group around us to kind of keep us accountable for what do we want to put in place in our new normal to keep ourselves as vibrant as we want to be. And so my piece of the Ageless Retreat is really on that permission to sustain. You've educated yourself on what's possible. You've started to put a plan of action in place, or you're thinking about putting that plan of action in place so you can get back to how you used to feel or create new levels for yourself. And so, how do high achieving people really lock in that transformation? So, we're going to talk about that during the Ageless Retreat, and I'll open your eyes to, breaking through old patterns and why transformation fades and the couple missing ingredients, permission included. You have to give yourself permission to make a change for the better of your life. Like everyone always thinks about what if things go wrong. I would offer a challenge of what if things go right? And are you prepared for that? Are you prepared for the level of energy and lack of fogginess that you can feel if you sustain yourself with what we're going to educate you on? But then post retreat, how do you lock it in? And so, what I find in leadership studies and in my own personal practices is, they always say it takes 30 days to lock in a new habit. I challenge that and really believe it takes 90 days. It takes 90 days to find and connect with your tribe for accountability, to identify what those behaviors are that you really want to make changes to, and to get that one-on-one support. I've actually done studies in the past around going through any sort of life-changing transformational program and two cohorts of individuals, ones that make a plan of action, stick to it, and get a shared accountability with accountability partners and other people in their lives, and how much more those habits stuck versus those that went through the program and took no action on the out end. So you can do either way. It's your life, your choice. We're feeding you the information that you need to make positive change, but sometimes it just takes some dedicated support. So that's what I am here for, on where do we go next now that the light has been given to you and you have an idea of what you want to do in your new normal. And if someone is watching this right now, and maybe you're on our landing page and you're genuinely curious and you're looking us all up online. Angelina, I'd like to kind of toss it back to you, and maybe you could walk us through what a day in the Ageless Code Integration Retreat actually maybe feels like.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the moment you show up in the Arrow Creek, and by the way, it's a #1 beautiful private club here in Northern Nevada, beautiful surrounding. You're going to be really amazed by, what's inside. And the moment you walk in, you know that this is just different. The space is different, and you will feel that it's not a conference. And it's not just the relaxation day. You see the space, you see the energy. I mean, you're surrounded by your team, by your people around, and you right away, you know that you're going to shift right away. And every morning we'll start with movement, mobility. We need to wake up our body because, every cell needs movement before they even can receive anything, right? So that's how we're going to open every single day. With the mobility trainer, and then we go deep into the pillars of the Ageless Code system. Okay, but here's what makes it different, from any other event that you've been to, that you don't just learn it, you apply it right there during the retreat. And this is why we call it not a workshop, it's a retreat. Every single thing that we cover inside of the Ageless Code system, you apply it, okay, that day in real time. And by the time you leave, there are not just habits that you're trying to build when you go home, they're already built during this 4 day, and you've been living them, and you felt the difference, and that's what it is. And on day 2, we go into the spa experience, where Nyla is going to host us in her medical longevity spa, and you're going to receive the special longevity treatments, including the IV therapy and red light therapy, infrared saunas, and longevity facial and treatments. And it's not just a treat. This is a cellular repair, and it's built into the protocol. It's built into the retreat. And then we come back together and we do the breath work and nervous system regulation. And we're going to close every single day with a leadership integration, because what's the point of understanding your biology, right? So if, it doesn't change how you lead, so how you make decision, how you show up in your life. And we gather around the fire every single evening. the serene settings of the Arrow Creek, and the small group, no agenda, no program, and we just have a real conversation in a closed circle. And that kind of thing that happens right there when, like in this like intimate environment, that's where more shifts, start to happen. Those moments like really precious. I mean, like the most powerful moments of the retreat. And then the last day, and this is one of my favorite ones from the entire retreat, that we take over of the private kitchen, and there is no recipes, no rules, and I teach you my cellular healing nutrition approach and my cooking Lego framework. And by the end of that session, I mean, you know how to build delicious cellular healing meals just in 15 minutes or less. How many of you guys want that? So being able to, because again, I mean, it doesn't matter what you know about the nutrition if on Tuesday night you're so exhausted, right? So, I mean, like, what do I do? And now you have a framework how to operate that, how to execute it just in 15 minutes, right? So delicious cellular healing meals. And then we celebrate together because by that point you earned it. You earned the celebration. And by day 4, you feel it. I mean, you feel the shift and you just know that you've changed, you're different. And this is like what the Ageless Code system allows you to experience in the 4 days. And yeah, so this is how it's going to look like. Very immersive.
I love that. You think about a lot of other multi-day wellness, biohacking, whatever word you want to put on it, retreat. And having attended a few myself, it becomes a day of workshop after workshop and speaker after speaker. And it really doesn't have that integration component. Like you mentioned, like just talking as humans around the campfire, like how do we integrate this? Having those opportunities to start doing things immediately with the spa experience and receiving those treatments, getting the personalized blueprint so I can see how it immediately applies to me. And that's really the differentiator between Ageless Code and of so many of these other retreats that you might have heard of, is that we're not just going to put you through 4 days of just fluff and theory and concept. We want you to go through this transformative process. And what better time to start than day 1 of going through the program so you can start to see and feel this, which then again makes the following 90 days after the program that much more exciting because you're already starting to see and feel the benefits of it. That's so cool. Cool. François or Nyla, did you have anything to say before we move on about the experience itself?
I think I just want to, bring back all that synergy. I want people to understand that their body will start shifting from day 1. And that cellular work, nutrition protocol, the nervous system regulation, the spa treatments, all of that, all these concepts will start living and implementing at the retreat. The transformation will already be in motion. So they just have to keep it on.
Plus, I want to mention the biohacking corner, the biohacking lounge that we're going to have at the retreat with, all the latest in the biohacking, the devices and the experiences. So we're also bringing that. So you have a chance to experience that with us, with our guidance and see what's possible.
I gotta say, guys, I love this team. I love this concept, and I have done so many retreats in my spa history. This really tops the charts, I gotta say, and I call it an immersive experience. I see plenty of people come into the spa environment and they have a great 1 hour massage, and then they leave. And it's just not the full immersion that this retreat really captures in all areas. You've got your data points, you've got your systems, you've got your blueprint, but then you also have the experience, the hands-on. You get to feel and you get to taste. You get to taste and actually be educated on things you can do at home. It's right there in your hands. You're letting it sink in and integrating into your body, your system, your mind, and it becomes part of who you are and who you want to be. The best part about it, and I'll kind of sum it up, is this now becomes your community, your corner. And connection is a huge pillar of wellness that I promote all the time. It's the connection, the community, the support, the people in your corner that are going to help you, keep you accountable, and help you reach those goals that we're all here for. I am so honored, pleased, and happy to be part of creating something that's so different and unique from all the other retreats out there right now. And this just brings it all together beautifully with people, processes, and the tools that you need to really make this happen.
I love it. I love it. Well, let's keep it to you, Nyla, and I'll toss this one of our last questions over to you. So we've talked all about the retreat and the different components of it, self-leadership and wellness and health and practical application. But really, at the end of the day, like, who are we talking to? Who is this retreat for? And maybe more importantly, and let's be honest, who is it not for?
Yeah, that's a very honest question. And the people that I think about for this retreat are the ones that I see walking into Dolce Vita and say some version of the same thing. I want to focus on my health, my body, and I want to continue this life, this health span much longer. But my body just isn't really responding in the way it used to. So they've reached a point where they just need a different answer and a personal guidebook. So, in general, this retreat is for men and women, both, who are ready to stop guessing and start working with real data, a real plan, and a real team in their corner. And you asked, who is it not for? So, this is a great one. And I say this with respect. It's not for someone looking for a quick fix or a beautiful getaway to escape. This experience is meant to go deeper. We're building something really, really permanent here with long-lasting results. And it is for the person who's ready to make those changes and discover that new version of their health that they really haven't been able to reach yet.
Mhm.
So, what I imagine is somebody leaving with protocols to follow and a structure that requires a commitment. Yeah, it's a commitment. If you want to change the path that you're on, those habits, it's a commitment to actually work on it. And if you're not ready to do the work, that's okay too. But if you are, there really isn't anything else like this.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Nyla. Good to be honest with ourselves. Where are we? And are we ready to take action? And if you are, then you will be met with so much love and support and the community that's going to help you cross that finish line to get to where you hope and wish and dream you want to be on the other side. So, Angelina, let's go down to the last word here. So, what do you want the people or the person watching this right now? We're talking to you. What do you want people watching right now to do?
I want you to register. Do not overthink it. Just do it. Just register. The retreat is coming up at the Club of Arrow Creek in Reno. We're going to drop a link just, below this recording. We're going to post it on social media as well. So the link is going to be down below because your best life is the one where your biology is working for you, not against you. And it starts the moment that you're going to walk through the doors of our retreat. So come join us.
Yeah. We've all experienced this firsthand: self-leadership, cellular activation, health, wellness, alignment from the inside out, and knowing what that means and feels like for each of us and wanting to pay that forward and create an experience so all of you can experience it as well. And we're so excited and thrilled and honored to be able to work together as the team that will bring this offering to you at the beautiful Arrow Creek Club here in Reno. So please do sign up. If you have any questions, check out the landing page, reach out to us on social media. If you know us personally, let's have a chat because we're so excited to bring this retreat. And we can't wait to see you there. With that, we'll end it for now. Take care and we'll see you soon.
Bye.
My experience was amazing. Of course, giving is hands-on. I agree with everything that you guys said, but to add on, a cooking masterclass was unbelievable. Just learning and showing how easy it was and how delicious it is, and just learning some new recipes and cooking together. was really, really fun. And just how much love you guys pour into us. Like, it's not just like we're all here, it's a business, but it's not. Like, it's so much deeper than that. And you made such a great connections, and you meet people, and all of the ladies are like you said, brought everything to the table. For your mind-blowing sessions, it was like a huge aha moment and a lot of breakthroughs, I think, for a lot of people. So it was really amazing. So thank you for pouring into us. Thank you for loving us. It really shows that you care and that you really love doing what you're doing. So let's give it up.